Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video. Today's video is for the Inspire Create Challenges design team. We're on challenge number 175 and we're doing a sketch challenge today. Please do pop along to the links in the description to the challenge blog post. There you'll be able to see links to all the other design team makes as well, and see how they've interpreted the same sketch. Okay, so you'll see that the sketch is actually in landscape, a bit more like this, but I just like to flip things around. I like to work in the portrait fashion, so I've flipped the design around and then used it in this way. But essentially it's 3 portions of cardstock or whatever layers, with a central element at the meeting point there, and some embellishments. Okay, so that's what we've done. And then the products I've used today are going to be the heartfelt hexagon with the coordinating punch. I've used the sketch butterfly dies to create these butterflies as the embellishment element, and I'm going to be doing a letterpress technique with the embossing folder. This is the 3D embossing folder, which I think is called Distressed Tile. Okay, colour combination on this is copper clay and basic beige to give it this sort of really rustic kind of look, and I've layered it with some very vanilla just on a white card base. Okay, so in true Inky Butterfly fashion, we're going to switch up the colours, give you a different option, okay, but use the same technique. Alright, so okay, let's see where we're going to start. So just like I've done before, I'm going to start with the plain white card base, so we'll have that ready to go. Let's pop that out of the way over there, and then I've got my very vanilla layer ready to go as well. Okay, and then I've got this layer, which is a 1/4 inch shorter and narrower, so I've got that border around the outside. Okay, and then eventually we're going to chop up this panel, okay, to make it fit and produce those three sections. Okay, but first of all we're going to do all the inking and then we'll do the cutting afterwards. Okay, so to ink this up then, I'm going to change the colour palette. So we've got in colour involvement in here, so I'm going to bring in the in colours as well with this one. Just change it around a little bit. Okay, and I'm actually going to use wild wheat, which is a very which is a colour that causes a veritable split as to whether people like it or not. Now for me it's a really nice substitute for gold. It's a bit more sort of rustic, a bit more antique-y, and that's basically what we're going to do with this. We're going to rough up the edges of this all the way around the outside. Just go easy, don't want too much of it, but just enough. Okay, and I'll show you the sample again in a second. I might just put a little bit more in this opposing corner and at the bottom. This is a little heavier on that top corner, so you can really grunge that up and make that as you want. Okay, so around the edge of this there is copper clay. It's real subtle. I think you can probably see it better here because my letterpress didn't quite go to the edge there, but there's copper clay just lightly around the edge of this. Okay, I've gone a little heavier with this one, but yeah, so wild wheat, this sort of faux gold, and I'm going to pair it with Pretty Peacock. That is going to look really pretty, really pretty. It's a really nice combination, and you can see it in the Stampin' Up catalogue being used together like that as well. So we've already sort of added some colour to the surface with that blending. Okay, but then we need to do our technique. Okay, so to do this, we're going to apply ink to the inside of the embossing folder, and we're going to do that on the side that's got the Stampin' Up logo here. Okay, the top essentially. All right. We might need to be able to pop this through a couple of times, so just to make sure that we can put this back down, I'm just going to pop just a little smidge of stamping seal on there. Just centre it in there and just press that down just to hold that cardstock in place. I might bring in some scrap actually just to make sure I'm not going to get stuff onto. This is a very well loved scrap piece of paper. Hopefully it's not too distracting in terms of you being able to see that I've got the folder there. And then I'm going to take the Pretty Peacock ink pad and press that against that section, just trying to get as close to the edge as possible. Okay, so it's a little bit on the messy side. Okay, and hopefully I've gone far enough down as well. And you know what, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a distressed look embossing folder, so it is going to pick up different elements. We're then going to close it down, and because that's all taped in, it's not going to shift. And we are going to run that through the embossing cut and emboss machine exactly as we would for a 3D embossing folder. So we've got our base plate, we've got our embossing folder, and then we've got our number 4 embossing plate. Okay. I just realised I've done this in exactly the opposite way that I was intending to. I was going to use the wild wheat to letterpress and the Pretty Peacock around the edge. So we might do both. Looks good though. Okay, but if you want to intensify that effect, just go in again. And you can see where you've been. So if you want the second layer, because we've taped it into place, you can roll it through again. And just get that extra layer of ink, and that's just darken that up quite a bit. Okay, alright, so that's that. That was wild wheat around the edge, and then Pretty Peacock on the faux letterpress. Okay, but I think what we'll do is we'll just try it with the other way round. So what I'll do is I'll just wipe clean this. This is just a plastic embossing folder, so it'll wipe up really easily with some water. So we'll get that cleaned up and then we'll go again. Okay, so I've gone ahead and recut that cardstock and gone round with the Pretty Peacock this time. And we'll do exactly what we did before, but this time we're going to use the wild wheat over the top, which is a much wetter ink pad because it's newer. My Pretty Peacock does need re-inking. Okay, just tape that into place like I did before. So we'll close that down and we'll run it through, and we'll see what we end up with and which one we prefer. Okay, let's see how that looks. So that looks really, that looks like when things go rusty. What's that? Oh, what's that called? You'll all know the word. Oh, it'll come to me. Okay, just using a pokey tool to help me get that out. I don't think I'm going to run that through a second time, and then we can clean that off in a little bit when we're finished with our project. So I'll pop that out the way so it's not going to make a mess anywhere. Okay, so now okay, it's a case of which one do we prefer. See, so I do like the fact that we've got a lot of the pretty peacock on this one, but I'm not keen on how the blendings ended up on this one. Okay, so it's very much a 6 of one, a half dozen of the other one. I wonder if I could make that blending look a little less stark. I don't know, it just feels like it's too stark in the middle. I just wondered if the residual ink just helps break that down a little bit. It's really hard to decide because they look very, very different. And the same with this one really, just take off a bit of that white. Okay, it's a really, really tough decision, that one is, but I guess the point is that you've got choices, okay, depending on what combinations that you use, okay. I'm leaning towards this one because I think it looks grungier. Still can't think of what that word is, but anyway, it's fine. Right, so now we've got to cut this down to meet the sketch. Okay, so the top panel, you might want to just take off some of that sticky. Just rub it with your finger or a eraser, and that'll take that stick off. So this top section is going to be at 2 1/4, which makes it a nice size for the top of that panel there. Okay, and that's going to fit approximately there, right? But of course this panel is currently the right width, but we don't have that channel in the middle, so we need to be able to create that channel. So we just need to chop off a little bit to make that work. Okay, so we need to take off 1/8 of an inch. Which means that now when we layer that together, keeping the borders even, we've got that gap in the centre. Okay, and now we want to do the one at the bottom. Okay, so this portion is going to be 1.5 inches, which is just at the end of the white cutting area there. So that's going to go on there, like so. And in the same way, this one is now too wide, it's going to butt up against there, so we need to create that channel again. So we're just going to take off 1/8 of an inch on this side to make that. Okay. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, it's kind of hard to, in my head, I find it easier to do it that way than to try and work out what the measurements were. Okay, right, so let's get this stuck down. Okay, so we'll just flip them top and tail, and because of all the texture and everything, we'll use some wet glue. And it will give us a chance to make sure that all that layering works. Okay, so we'll press it, we'll just keep it in place but not press it down too hard until we've got everything exactly where we want it. Don't need a lot of this glue, it's really strong. So I'll just pop that into place. And this one. And then once we think we've got it right, we can just make sure and get everything pressed down, which is fine. Okay, bro. So there we go. So that's our background panel done with the letterpress technique there. Okay, so while that's just setting, we'll just stamp our sentiment. Okay, so we'll use the Pretty Peacock as the darker ink, I think. It does need re-inking. Okay. Yeah, not. I'll do extra tapping. Okay, looks a bit better. So it's going to come out a little paler than I probably would like, but it's fine. It looks pretty. And then we'll use that that detailed stamp that comes with that heartfelt hexagon to frame that up. So just hover over the top, use that photopolymer edge just to make sure everything's just inside that border. That looks about right. Okay, and we can punch that out. Lines up nice and easily. Just leaves a little bit of a border around that stamping. So this should be well on its way to being dry by now. Doesn't take very long at all. And then on the sample here I've got some coordinating cardstock as a strip along the middle. Okay, and I've already prepped that, but I used the Pretty Peacock. But do I need to use wild wheat? Don't know. I might stick with it as I've got them done, but you could, you know, mix and match your colours and do what you think will look best. So we're just going to secure that onto the back just to emphasise that that design, really, that with that central portion. Okay, and then we can pop that onto the card with a couple of dimensionals. Like so. So you still see that junction there. Okay, and then of course we just need our butterflies on there, so we'll just treat them like embellishments, really. So I'm just going to put the dabs of glue on there, and we'll just shape those a little bit. Pop those on. Okay, and then just going to use my pokey tool just to press those down a little bit. Oops. I was supposed to make that easier, not harder. Okay, there we go then. So completely different look with this. More grungy, deep, dark colours as opposed to the lighter ones. Okay, so it's a really nice technique to mess about with, using contrasting colours, things you wouldn't necessarily normally put together with this technique. Have something showing through and giving that sort of I think it's verdigris I was thinking of. Is it verdigris I was thinking of with this? Anyway, oh, I haven't put it on the card. I was like, why does that look a bit strange? So, yeah, so now I've got lumpy bits to contend with to stick that down. Anyway, I hope you've liked it anyway, and it's just giving you an idea of, you know, I'm just sharing ideas. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm here for, sharing ideas. And you're not going to like everything. And you know what? Sometimes I don't like them either. But the ideas are there and it's something to build on. Okay? So, something for you to experiment with yourselves. Do stop by the Inspire Create Challenges blog post. If you feel like entering your own design, please do. You can just upload an image there. Got sort of like till the Wednesday, I think, to upload it. Okie dokie. I hope you're staying safe. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.